Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
Lindsay Lohan 911 continues. Janice Dickinson yells at Bill Cosby's sentencing. We review Bravo's play-by-play, and Anthony Lario calls in to critique the new Jersey Housewives trailer. And there's an OC lawsuit. That and industry talk with host and pop culture expert Vivian Nweze. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by Vivian Nweze, a TV host, producer, and pop culture expert. Welcome to the Rants.
Thanks for having me, Grant. This is so cool to be here with you.
It really is, because we've been talking about it for as long as the show has been in existence.
It's literally been years.
Years. I know, but that's how it is, kids, in this business. I mean, Vivian's working, and sometimes you just can't do other projects and other outlets, and you have to kind of worry, and people are watching, and sometimes you just don't have the freedom to be able to just do what you want. But now we're at the time where you can come on the show,
right? And also value of persistence. You always brought it up, and I always had it in the back of my mind. I wanted to do it, and then when you brought it up this time, the timing was perfect.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to because I love your story, and you're so determined. The hustle is so real, and that's really what I love about having co-hosts on this show. People that can really talk to what it is to work for real and navigate this business the way you have. So you're perfect for this.
Oh, thank you.
And you're a pop culture expert, so come on. I mean, what more do you want? You know what I mean? Like a perfect thing. Before we get into the stories I have covered here, I woke up this morning. Lindsay Lohan, she's rescuing or attempting to rescue / some might view abduct a child or two on the street. I don't know if they spoke Russian or if they spoke Arabic, but she spoke every language. I couldn't figure out what she was saying. And the accent, even her English, she had a very strong accent. Maybe she was trying to be approachable, but she came up to this family who they looked like homeless or refugees on the street. They had 2 young boys, and they ended up running away. And at the end of the video, she's pushed on the ground.
Oh my God.
But she kept telling these kids in English, we're going to go watch a movie. You're going to come into my apartment. Or I'm going to get you a hotel, she said. Blah, blah, blah. Isn't that going to be fun? And they kept kind of pushing her away. And she was very aggressive. And the comments that came up weren't good.
Oh my gosh. I feel so bad for everyone involved in this situation, because on Lindsay Lohan's end, she might still believe that she's this household name, and so that maybe they would recognize her and be really grateful for the opportunity that she's putting in their way. I can put you in a nice place so you're off the street and we can do something fun and all of that great stuff. But to them, they're like, okay, lady with this indistinguishable accent, why are you harassing us? We're minding our own business. And when going back to the accent, it makes me think back to, I think it was about a year or 2 ago, when people realized that her voice was changing.
We played it on this show. Yes.
Yeah. And because now she's almost like Madonna, where Madonna tried to claim she wasn't from America,
right,
and had this accent that came out of nowhere. The same thing has happened to Lindsay Lohan, but it makes a little bit of sense because she's been abroad for so long. So that, I think, explains the voice. But that just,
it's
I want Lindsay Lohan to win. I just want her to win one day.
It's a sad situation with the family. I give her credit for making the effort, but it's kind of like if a homeless person doesn't want your help, don't sit there for another 15 minutes telling them, you shouldn't do this to your kids, and this is bad, and I'm going to help you, and you have to come with me. She was asking the mother, can I take your sons to themselves, and I'll just return them tomorrow? I mean, she's really kind of pushing it. And of course, I noticed her sister, Aliana, piped in the comments, the Instagram live comments, and she was did the heart emoji eyes. But everybody else, all the other comments were like, Lindsay, leave those people alone. They don't want your help. And that was the nicest.
I feel uncomfortable that it was on Instagram live. You don't need to do all of that. That makes me feel like this wasn't as genuine as it could have been. Because
So
why do you
true.
need attention? And why do you need it live?
Yeah, exactly. She started off in her car, and it wasn't like she was commenting on, like, I'm going to help these people. No, we had to, like, go for the journey, which I don't think anyone was asking for. Shout out to my good friend Fern Ronay. I put an Insta story out about this, and she wrote, I woke up this morning and saw this on Twitter and was like, I cannot wait for Grant to wake up and see this. She knows me well. Thank you, Fern. Yes, again, my friend Heather McMahon, she's a comedian. You got to follow her over at Heather K. McMahon. She's covering Lindsay 911, and this will no doubt go into the files. So there's a lot to talk about with that. But let's get into even more stuff. Bravo put out a new fall show, Bravo Play by Play, and I wanted to give a little review to this show. Jerry O'Connell's, I guess, lead hosting. He's the Meredith Vieira. That's such an old reference at this point. Michael Yo, who will do a lot of things. He did this. Brandon, some other guy, I guess he's like a fighter or whatever. And it was originally supposed to be like Real Men Watch Bravo. Now it's Play by Play, which I think is a better title.
Yeah.
But another friend of mine who's been on the show, Leon Castillo, he said, Bravo, we've been doing play-by-play for years because we've been doing AfterBuzz. And we were able to go in. You know, I was really able to really analyze these shows without having like the corporate arm that Jerry O'Connell has to kind of be like, we have to keep it inherently positive,
Right.
you know?
But they also have the corporate money. That's one thing we didn't have.
That's true. That's true. Have you watched the show?
So I watched some clips online, and I'm actually really familiar with Jerry O'Connell's Housewives obsession because I have to give him credit. He built this opportunity for himself just in the sense of he's put it out there for several years that he loves watching the Housewives. It's actually been one of the most popular things he gets asked about when he's doing interviews, even when he's promoting a project, because it just kind of doesn't make sense when you look at him and then you see his beautiful life and his beautiful wife, and he's an actor and all these things.
I love his wife.
I know, she's so beautiful and so smart. But I have a theory in my mind. I think it's very similar to how Jennifer Lawrence is obsessed with the Kardashians and Housewives. It's like the relatability factor. And it might be genuine. He might really love them. But if anything else, look, he's on the show now because of his love for it.
Yeah.
You know? So cheers to him. That was smart positioning on his end. But he also has host experience. He's really good on camera. He's a good he has good delivery. He's a good host.
He was the strongest host on the show. The others kind of faded into the background for me, and I almost felt like people weren't matching his energy, which is tough. I mean, when you're trying to put a panel together, I know it's only episode 1, but I wanted to see a little bit more of a balance because I was only really interested in what he had to say.
Right.
And the others
he's
would
the
fill
true
in.
fan, or the true actor being a fan for the camera. I don't know.
I don't see the value in why this show has to be a male-only panel. I think if you want to slant it towards men, because I know that's an initiative, they want a lot of more men to come to Bravo. I understand. But what's wrong with having one female perspective, at least? I think of these AfterBuzz panels I did for years, and I think that sometimes I was the only guy, but I was a male perspective, and I think there's some value in that.
I think the whole network is pretty much female, though. And I honestly don't feel like their audience is going to be male whatsoever. I mean, most men, you have to care about the content. None of these people on this panel are so masked that a guy who, you know, loves watching football and drinking beer is going to suddenly watch and care about the Housewives because they're talking about it.
Yeah.
So their audience is still primarily going to be female. I think it's just for a lot of females, it might be, oh, these guys are hot, or okay, it's someone else that's talking about this in a way that's a little bit different. But I mean, I can't think of a single guy that I know that who doesn't already like the Housewives who will tune in and watch this.
And watch that. I agree. I get that. I just feel like as far as commentating goes on Bravo, we've got Watch What Happens Live with Andy, and now this show with all guys. I just think it should be add somebody into the mix, like a female co-host. I think there would be some value in that, especially since they're all talking about women. Like, I don't know. But as far as this show goes, it tapes in New York, which I don't understand that either, because I think this is just my belief. I'm not telling anyone how to do their job, but I think Bravo should have a show based on the West Coast to balance out, because a lot of Bravo is very East Coast heavy, especially with What Happens Live. We see the same people. So you get a different crowd when you're out here on the West Coast of Bravo celebrities. You've got your Jeff Lewis, your Housewives, that crew, the Shaws. If you care about them, I couldn't care less. But I feel like it just would balance out the whole Bravo universe a little better. I don't know why they are in New York, especially Jerry O'Connell, who's based in Calabasas, but okay. And Andy Cohen stopped by, and he's like, "Oh, thanks for having me." Well, it's his show. He's producing the show.
Right. So. Andy Cohen, don't you own half of Bravo at
yeah.
this point?
So to me, it's like, okay, like, you know, like you weren't going to be asked on. Like, okay.
Well, I mean, it's also cute, though, because it's like the passing of the torch. Like, I'm sharing some of my flame with you guys, and hopefully you'll light a fire. Also, just because they probably needed some sort of name to be on to get some sort of attention, because there's so many shows out here that why watch this?
Right. Yeah. And it helps him too, because again, it's his show. So I guess it really makes sense to do that. But
what do you think about the other guys?
The other, Michael Yo, I feel like he'll pop up on anything. So I wasn't like too surprised. I feel like with we've been in this game long enough. Any panel show, there's always that one host is like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And with Michael, I like Michael as a host. I remember watching him on like Chelsea pop up on different shows, like Chelsea Lately and different stuff, even before I came to LA and started pursuing this myself. I think he's good. I also feel like he's consistently the token diversity.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if they're going to have all white male, they're going to have the one spot, and he's like, okay, he's Asian, check. He's black, check.
Yep.
But he's actually genuinely talented, so I'm happy he's on it. And as a former entertainment, reporter, he actually has some intel.
Yeah, I think it's good to have him on. I wish I saw him more on Bravo, where I always associated him with E, but it's all the same, I guess, at this point. So I don't really mind it. I don't know. I like the opening. It was cute. They held the different, like, half-eaten apple and old nonsense. I thought it was a good idea. There's a lot to expand on, but it's tough in this world of podcasting when you've got people all over commenting on these reality shows, and they can really go in and say certain things and give dirt, to be able to kind of follow in that path of commentary, but also follow the corporate, like, synergy and the rules and everything. It's tough because you really can't be as authentic as other hosts. I think they're going to have some trouble with that.
No, that's definitely true. I wonder if they'll have, any intel that other people wouldn't be privy to because they're within the network. They're on Bravo. So maybe they would reserve some information just for them. But then I'm also like, they're not a huge platform yet. So why save big info for them when you can give it to a Blast or a TMZ or one of these entertainment shows?
I know they said they wanted a male-only show, but if a housewife gives a quote or she does anything, that is what gets press, and that's all over the place. And if they want the show to get big press, they would put somebody on there and give a 5-minute interview, and that interview would be shared everywhere. It would carry a lot more weight than I think Jerry O'Connell would.
Right.
So.
Maybe that's the future. Maybe, because that would be interesting if it was the 4 guys that are currently there, and then each week a different housewife, just one. That would be interesting to see the dynamic. Yeah,
I love, like, as a producer myself, I love putting a combination of people together and seeing who hits it off and who plays off of each other. And I love that dynamic. I feel like there's always a surprise in that. And that's kind of why I do this show with a different co-host each episode. I try for work to always put different combos of people together with different backgrounds. That's maybe I would be more interested in that. I think the panel is supposed to rotate a little bit, but let's put a Bravo celebrity on. That would only help.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's my advice.
Even if it's someone that's commenting on a show that they're not on, but they are from Bravo, like, that would be cute.
Yeah. I mean, it works on What Happens Live sometimes, so. Let's change gears. Wow. Don't know how to make this transition. Wow. Well, in the age of all these sexual allegations, and man, it's been a long week. We won't get political, but at least, someone got sentenced for something. Bill Cosby, 81, sentenced for drugging and sexually assaulting one of around 60 accusers. He's not eligible for parole for at least 3 years. And he said that, an article on page 6 said that he burst out laughing and cracked jokes before he was taken into custody. Has he lost it?
I think he's the senile is kicking in. That is insane. But also, I think just the fact that it's actually here, that his day of reckoning actually happened, he probably didn't think it would ever get
Probably
to that
not.
point. So that could have been nervous laughter or just wow. You know, people react to things differently, but that was definitely something he didn't expect to happen.
Yeah.
And sadly, that's what came out of his mouth first.
It's interesting. He had no family present. Nobody backed him up, which I've always questioned that wife of his.
I know.
That's a weird one.
I feel like she might be, well, she clearly, to some extent, has been a little complicit or just ignoring things.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that happens so much in Hollywood because once you have people care too much about the reputation, perception, also they might have adjusted to a lifestyle. We also don't know what they've sacrificed to be with this person. For all we know, she may have sacrificed all of her hopes, all of her dreams, everything to be with this man. And so she let a lot of things go underneath the rug or whatever. I'm not trying to sympathize with her because she also got to live a life with a lot of money. So things could have been a lot worse. But, you know, when push comes to shove, that moment when he's standing there alone, that's what he deserves. I feel like older generations would put up with things that we would never, like, ever
Would you
consider.
ever? No. Yeah. Would you ever put up with that?
No, I would have
Yeah.
been gone in people know with me. Like, don't try me.
Yep.
If I hear one thing, I'm gone.
Yep.
I'm not, therapy is great. We can do that if it's something little, but something like that, goodbye. I'm gone. I'm going to the police. I'm telling them everything. I will squeal at the top of my lungs.
Yep. No, our generation won't put up with that. And I think that's great. I mean, I would have, are you kidding me? Like, no way. I feel the same way, like dismissed. Janice Dickinson, this is my favorite part of the story because this is like perfect for the rants. She apparently was present in the courtroom and she yelled after the sentencing, "Who's having the last laugh now?" And I can just picture her in that raspy voice in some suit with the hair hanging, yelling across the room. I do enjoy her. And she's talked about this for a long time. I wonder how it feels, though, to see. I mean, I guess it must feel fine for her either way, but he's being put away for what happened with Andrea Constand, not what happened to her. So really, I don't know, does she get justice for, he allegedly raped her? I don't know.
I think this is the closest to justice they could probably expect because of the statutory limits.
Right.
So many of their stories, there isn't any legal thing that can happen from that. But just the fact that he's going to jail for someone, he probably deserves a lifetime for all of the women who have come out. 60 plus who've come out and spoken, and 6 who spoke during the trial. But he's also 81. There's not much life left. And if anything, his legacy is completely tarnished and ruined. Like everything, granted, his time is coming way later, but this is his legacy gone. Yeah. I think that is a sort of vindication. And also now people know her story. So a lot of things that she didn't have support for, she's getting it now. Yeah. It's better than never getting it at all.
Yeah. Ooh, I hate even talking about all this stuff, but it's so real. And this is Hollywood talk. This whole Me Too movement came up while I'm doing this show. And it's, how can I ignore it? I mean, it's massive. I mean, you've got the most powerful man in network television. We talked about it in the last episode. Right. Removed. Matt Lauer removed. I mean, the CBS News, that other Charlie Rose. I mean, it's just, I could list all these names. It's hard to ignore. So I feel like I got to weigh in. Someone who weighed in, though, O.J. Simpson. And
last one who should be talking. He needs to be quiet for the rest of his life.
I know, really. He told TMZ that rapists are frowned upon in prison, so to expect some trouble for Bill. So, thanks,
who else
OJ.
is frowned upon? Murderers, but okay, I know football stars might get a pass.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And also, your life has gone really to the dumpster when O.J. Simpson is providing advice.
Yeah. On the golf course somewhere in Nevada after his, long sentence for kidnapping and theft or whatever it was, robbery. That was it. Excuse me.
But they are probably on pretty even playing field right now. So
yeah, true. What are you watching on television right now? I'm dying to talk about a show that I've been watching, but I want to hear about first from you.
So the latest thing I have been binging is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I had it on my list for a while. Nothing about the promos or advertising really appealed to me because I couldn't tell what it was about.
Yeah.
But I just remember when it won big at the Golden Globes. So that's when it came on my radar. And then literally I started binging the show maybe 2 weeks before the Emmys, and they completely swept the Emmys.
Swept it, yeah.
I mean, best director, best writing, best lead actress, best supporting actress in comedy. And I mean, well done. It's actually a really good show. It's shot beautifully. And the lead character, I like her. Yeah. I actually really like her. She's for being set in, I think, like the 1960s, she's a very modern woman. Very modern, very progressive, feminist, funny, very independent. And it's good. It's a good show.
I watched the pilot. I never went back to it. On my defense, I don't have Amazon Prime, but I have it on DVD, and I gave it to my grandmother who loves the show, and she watched it. And so now I should probably get those DVDs back and actually sit down and watch it. But I don't have a DVD player. So see, I make these excuses.
Wait, maybe on your laptop. Do our laptops have CD player?
I actually have an external because when I burn DVDs.
Oh, that's so much work.
So yeah, and then I got to hook it up to the TV with HDMI.
To a friend's house, have a night. Just get through a couple episodes. I also, for me, I'm a little biased because I love period pieces.
Oh yeah.
Because I was a history nerd. So same way I binged The Crown is kind of how I've been binging Mrs. Maisel, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So that might be it.
I gotta watch. It's kind of obligatory now.
Yeah. Now that it's won so much, you need to get through 3 episodes, and then if you're not hooked, that's fine.
Yeah. I thought it was very well done when I saw it. In my defense too, when I saw it, only the pilot was released. So I just never went back after they released the whole season. It was like a teaser.
Yeah. The second episode is when it really gets there, because the first episode I wasn't like, oh my god, yay, Mrs. Maisel.
All right, I gotta try it then. Yeah. All right, you heard it here first.
I'm also watching Insecure, which I'm actually really sad because it's only 8 episodes for a season. I don't get that. I don't get these short seasons, because back when we were kids, or even before that, a season was 22 episodes, and now all these shows are having these random short seasons. I hate that.
I could see it if it was a minimum of 10, or if they divided this, and I hate when they do this, but if they divided the season into 2 episodes, 2
parts.
Yeah. So it was 8 and 8, and that's what they did with Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and then they released it dribs and drabs.
Are people still watching Unbreakable? I love the first few seasons, and then I fell off.
It's done, and it's concluding this, I believe, in early 2019, if not the end of this year, but it is wrapping up. So the show that I'm watching, also on Netflix, we were talking about Unbreakable, but over on Netflix is the show The House of Flowers, and I've tweeted about this and Instagrammed this. Have you heard of this?
No, but there's so much content on Netflix, it's hard to keep up.
I never look at what's relevant. It says this is a 98% match. Cause I'm no, it isn't. It's Netflix telling me to watch it. But this was 93%, and the art, the cover art for it was beautiful. And it's completely done in Spanish, but it's dubbed over in English. And it's like a full soap opera. It's basically like Desperate Housewives meets Ugly Betty. It's light and funny at times, but also very melodramatic. Google describes it as the outward perfection of a family-run flower business hides a dark side rife with dysfunctional secrets in the darkly humorous comedy series. It came out at the beginning of August of this year, and I really hope it gets picked up. I'm hoping that it's diverse enough that they'll pick it up, and I really want to see what's more of it. I'm 3/4 of the way through. I heard it kind of wraps up nicely, so I'm a little concerned. I'd rather have it end with a big cliffhanger. But
right, because when it wraps up nicely, that means sometimes there isn't more.
Yeah. However, this show, so much happens in each episode. They're only 30 minutes, and each of these characters are so fleshed out. You see so much of them, their motivations. This mother, she runs the show over there, and she literally is obsessed with everything being perfect. So she'll do anything to save image. There's a nosy neighbor who pops in. It's also very diverse. There's a gay storyline, a bisexual storyline, went to drag queens running around, but they threw everything at this show, but it's gripping. And I've never been so pleasantly surprised to just happen to fall upon a series that really sucked me in the way this show has. The House of Flowers.
I love that.
Yeah.
Even just the name sounds pleasant. Like, what are you about to watch, Grant? House of Flowers.
Yes, it really is a trip. I encourage you all to check it out. When we return, we're going to be talking about some Real Housewives of OC legal drama, flashback to Jim Bellino. But we're also going to have a call-in guest rant to recap the Real Housewives of New Jersey trailer. I think it's only like 2 minutes, but there's a lot to cover. That and more coming up next.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
Believe it or not, it's time for the Real Housewives of New Jersey to come back to Bravo. And I looked at the trailer. I've got some thoughts. Joining me from the state of New Jersey to break it down is Anthony Lario. Welcome to the Rants.
Hey, Grant, thanks so much for having me on. I'm so excited to break down Jersey. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, thank you for being loyal to the podcast and all that good stuff.
Sure.
And we're good Instagram friends, so here we are.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Sure.
So, I really wanted to talk about this trailer with someone who's like hardcore New Jersey. I mean, this show is unique where I feel like the audience is a little smaller, but it's small but mighty. And the people who watch the show they're in it.
Mm-hmm. You're right. The people who watch it love it. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I feel like with these shows, they definitely know their audience through their audience analytics or whatever. But with Jersey, they know what the people want. I think that they try to give it to them as best as the producers can, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this trailer, they definitely gave it their best. I mean, there were shots of shard and broken glass all over a table, and it looks like they're all on vacation. There are slow-mo shots of people getting out of, I don't know, SUVs, vans, like a Toyota Sienna. I don't know.
Yeah, the opening of the trailer was by the way, it almost feels as though maybe there's only a couple episodes that are edited and they just went through their reel and picked some random dramatic parts, because it compared to the other Housewives series, their first trailer, it felt almost like it was leaked and it wasn't done for some reason.
Yeah, it was a narrow scope. We only saw maybe 3-4 different locations.
Yes, it was all at that vacation dinner, most of it. And then they were doing the axe throwing. I think that's in some country town. I have no idea where that was.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me give them some advice. Last season worked out good. I think it was 10 or 11 episodes plus the reunions, and that was plenty. That's all I needed. I got my fix. I recapped actually the whole season on Grant's Rants. I can't promise I'm going to do that again just because my schedule this year is much different from how it was last year. But, I mean, that was just enough for me. It came, it was good, I enjoyed Margaret, I enjoyed Danielle, and then when it was over, it was over. It was, perfect.
Yeah, it's short and sweet. That's I look at Jersey getting fast food. It's it's just enough. And, and you may feel a little bit sick after, but whatever. It was good while you were watching it or enjoying it, and you look forward to it again for next time. But the trailer had this dramatic opening, and that's when we got Dolores' only line, which was this season on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and that's all we saw of her for the rest of the trailer.
I am completely and totally fine with this. I don't enjoy her. We would never be friends. I have no interest in her. I don't know how she's just going to float through this season without her best friend, Saki Siggy. I don't know what's going to happen with her, and I'm not interested to find out.
No, me neither. And I don't get how she made full time and Danielle didn't. Why? I just want to know, what is her appeal to the producers? And she does have a big fan base. People do like her. I mean, I know you and I feel weird about her, but a lot of people do like her.
Yeah. I agree.
We don't know why.
I just don't get it. She actually kind of really pissed me off, to be honest with you. I was like, she's still here. What are we going to get from her? I believe last season, now that I've had a moment to think further about it, I really do believe, after much reflection, that storyline with that husband Frank moving in was for the cameras. I don't really believe it personally.
Oh, no, me neither. Not at all. That's her only shtick. And that's the thing about Jersey is that it is all about family because they're Italian like us and whatever. I like the whole family thing, but it gets to be too much. The thing with Frank moving in. And this season just looks like it's the Teresa and Melissa show. And I don't know. I have a feeling that one day it's just going to be Teresa with her own kind of thing with she and the family. Yeah, because I mean, she is the centerpiece of the show, but also like, I mean, Marge came in last year and destroyed it in a good way. She was unbelievable. And now, like you said, she's almost front and center right next to Teresa.
Yeah, I noticed that. I think I said that on Instagram with you. That it's like great to see her in that like number 2 spot. Like, you know, God bless her. But yeah, up until March, it really was Teresa and Friends of New Jersey. And that's what I used to call it. I used to call it Teresa of New Jersey when I was on AfterBuzz because it was like ridiculous. It was like, it was all her and the husband. And then occasionally we'd see somebody else like Jacqueline complain about Teresa. Like that was it.
Yes.
I mean, the show, I have a tough time with the show. I relate to it the most because the neighborhoods look like the neighborhoods that I grew up in. The Italian influence. It's exactly how I was brought up for the most part. Just a little less caffone, a little less tacky. But I can relate to it in that sense. But as far as like story wise, I don't know. It's on. It's there.
Yeah, the Jersey's the first Housewives show I ever watched, and it's because, of course, I'm living in Jersey, and I see, oh my God, there's going to be a show about Jersey. And it was like during the era of Jersey Shore, all that jazz. And so I watch, and I feel the same way as you. It's very gaudy. It's kind of how I was brought up, all the houses with the brick walls and the big pillars, and I love the beige and burgundy undertones that are in every single house in New Jersey. In this trailer, you don't go behind family. You don't do that in an Italian family. It's like beating a dead horse at this point, I think.
Yeah, we've seen it play out for years. I mean, what is this? Like almost 10 years now. Yeah, I mean, if it's just going to be them like making it about Teresa versus Melissa again, that they're going to have a falling out when it doesn't look like in real life they have. Like, don't fool people. You've got a loyal audience on the show. Don't insult them. That's my advice. So there's 2 new people here. One of them, you mentioned the Italian element. Well, they've reintroduced the Jewish element, which is apparently really big in New Jersey with this girl Jackie. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she looks good. I liked when she said, I'm like the badass Jewish chick from Jersey. I like that because she's bringing like a Siggy vibe, but not so soggy.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like that. That's a good line.
Yeah. Yeah, she looks cool. I think I'm going to be into her. I don't know about Jennifer, though. I'm a little bit iffy about her already.
This other one, I'm trying to read my notes here. Oh, yeah, she was apparently, we were introduced to her in the promo by her talking about how she had a chaperone date, which could have led to an arranged marriage. Sounds kind of like a line to me. I don't know. Well, she's already got the unfaithful husband storyline brewing. It looks like she's going to be upset with Margaret. And we're going to have to look at another set of bratty children. I know people love Melania. She is entertaining, but now this one, this what's her face, Jennifer. She's got a daughter who's in some type of big long poofy skirt and what looks like either a tennis court or a basketball court, saying that she's a princess. I already don't care. I don't care for bratty kids. I'm not interested. We don't need any more kids with attitude. She's not, we've already got that box checked. It's with Melania, and we saw her grow up from like age 2.5. That's enough.
Yeah, that's enough. I mean, I'm seeing all these comments on Instagram. They're like, oh, this new girl's going to give Melania a run for her money. I'm like, why is there even like a market out for that? Like, why do we care?
I don't.
Yeah,
no, I'm not checking for that. And that's not enough. If you're going to put in a promo and you're going to put her in, and you're not going to put TV legend, reality star to the world, Danielle Staub in, I'm already having a sour taste in my mouth. Can we talk about Danielle real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about it because, there's so much that I've seen in like Housewives press this week about Danielle apparently being iced out from the show by the producers, and she had a feud with Margaret, and I feel like no matter what, like I've never been this loyal to a housewife. I'm like Margaret or die, like she's my ride or die. I'm obsessed with her, and I feel like no matter who she's feuding with, I'm going to be on her side. But it is disappointing because I wanted to see Danielle full time back this season. I mean, she brought that old school what people loved about New Jersey back onto the show last year, and she didn't have one solo shot of her face, nothing, no audio clip, and apparently she did bring a lot of drama this season. Got in a huge fight with Margaret. Her wedding
is supposed to be on the show.
She threatened to stab her husband. I know that at the finale party, apparently her now ex or soon-to-be ex-husband got in a physical fight with somebody at the party. So
with Margaret's husband, I heard that.
Yeah. So how are they going to edit that out? It's going to feel like a fraud to me, I feel like.
I won't watch if they edit it out, because that all happened and I don't want to be manipulated. And, however they feel about her, that's what happened. People signed their not their NDAs, their contracts and their just all their paperwork. Like that's what we're supposed to be seeing. I want to see all that play out. And that's what I'm expecting. But by this trailer cutting her out, I think is once again insulting and unnecessary. She really is an icon to Housewives, period. Whether you watch Jersey or not, you know who Danielle Staub is.
Oh, exactly. Everybody knows. I mean, the prostitution whore line, the just everything, the fake and square tits.
Engaged 19 times. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's iconic. I hate when people overuse the word iconic, but it really is.
She is. Yeah.
But the hope I have is that I rewatched the old Beverly Hills trailer, the one from last season, and Camille wasn't in the trailer, but she was in the show a lot. So I'm hoping maybe I don't know how that works behind the scenes. But
side note, that trailer was awful. I still am bored by the whole thing. But as far as New Jersey goes, what do you think? Like, are we okay? Do we kind of? I think I'm going to watch with low expectations.
Yeah, I'm going to watch with low to moderate expectations. I watch it really just – I do love Teresa and I love Marge. I love watching it for people say that they watch TV to see themselves, and I feel like that's kind of why I watch. They all remind me of my mom. So I'm hoping it's not the Teresa and Melissa show. I want to see – even though – we both have feelings about Dolores. I do hope for her sake and the show's sake that she brings something. Yeah. I just feel like the trailer, OC trailer gave us, the talking heads, the confessionals of Gina and Emily, a little introduction. It just feels like this trailer was weirdly edited. We didn't see one talking head except for Melissa's. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, though. It's going to be good.
But maybe we just kind of stay cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, that's a good term to use for cautiously optimistic. I like that.
So where can we find you? Anything you want to promote? We'll have to have you on the show again. I love your perspective. So it was great.
Thank you. Yeah, I love Grant's Rants. Love Grant. You guys are lucky to have such a good guy in the podcast realm, because I kind of was giving up on podcasts before I started to listen to yours, and you kind of inspired me to create my own. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Anthony Lario, ANTHONY LARIO, and you can check me out on Tony's Tea Corner, my little Bravo and Beyond podcast.
Tony's Tea Corner. Check it out, kids.
Yes,
Thank you for the kind words. That's really nice of you, and it means more to me than you know.
Oh, thanks, Grant, so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to coming on again.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks. And we're back talking with Vivian Nweze here on the Rants. Welcome back.
Yay.
Real Housewives of OC. There's Jim Bellino, Alexis Bellino, former housewife. Her husband, they recently got a divorce. Now he's suing Tamra and Shannon of the show over comments they made on Heather McDonald's podcast. Never underestimate a podcast, kids, because this is turning into a mess so quickly. On June 26th, he claims that the two of them lied about the means of their divorce, his personal reputation in business, said that he was going to jail perhaps, and they allege that the trampoline park that he owns paralyzed people. So now he's recruiting Gretchen and Slade, two other cockroaches from the past on the show, to come on and depose the women. And they want to look back at emails and see exactly what happened and if this was pre-planned. I think this is such a mess. Do you think this is going to get thrown out? I mean, this seems silly.
It seems silly, but also kind of not. Just because defamation is a legitimate thing that he can argue. I mean, if they're saying that people are getting paralyzed at his trampoline parks, people aren't going to come. That's going to affect his income. And I mean, they are making money off of these shows, so it's not like he's digging into empty pockets. but also just to stand up for yourself. Like we understand that a lot of these podcasts with some housewives or other people that come onto them, some people aren't sober when they're doing them. You're trying to be funny, you're trying to be entertaining, and people embellish, but embellishments have repercussions. So I do think it can be thrown out because it's not like the heaviest court case in the history of time, but I actually want to see it go through.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to go that far personally. I think once they realize it was on a podcast that was comedy and it was sort of jest and all that, I don't think people are really going to go that far with it personally. But this is a storyline, and the show, the OC Housewives, some could argue they would like to see this play out. I mean, it hits all the big past and present heavy hitters, I guess. You've got Shannon involved, Tamra involved, Gretchen, Slade. Talk about an OG, Slade. Right. He's still in the mess. And then the Bellinos. So this could be an interesting storyline. I doubt we'll ever see it because of it being of legal,
right? Right. Like, can you imagine what it would be like just to see Slade and Gretchen doing their deposition? Ugh. I wish cameras would be in there.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting, and especially just to see like what would they reveal that you haven't already seen on the show.
Right. Yeah.
Is there anything that they can reveal that hasn't been on the show already? I would watch that.
If they did it, it would really seem like a vendetta because I don't see them being involved. I guess they'd be character witnesses. Is that what it is?
I guess, yeah.
Gretchen's rep said if subpoenaed, they would speak the truth. So who knows? I'm going to be following this because I'm actually interested to see if this is going to turn into anything at all. Well, we talked about it earlier. You and I, we met through AfterBuzz TV, and we've stayed in touch. We would stop each other around NBC Universal and catch up. And we've talked about having you on the show for so long, but we've always been able to connect and have a good conversation about just the hustle and what we're up against in this business. We really, I feel like, kind of identify with one another.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because especially, I think both of us, we have the unique experience of having the kind of like the freelance, you're on your own type of hustle. But then also we do have that corporate hustle because we were with such a huge network, and a lot of people have one experience or the other, not both.
Right. I've talked about that recently, too, on this show, of just even being a freelance podcaster, but also being under the umbrella of a network and having that corporate structure and all that. There's positives and negatives to both. I mean, it's really kind of a good learning experience, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, you have high-level professional experience that people who have freelanced and are just kind of coming up don't know what that world is like. But then on the flip side, on your own stuff, you're not under the constraints that you would be with a big corporate overlord.
True.
Like for even just for hosting, the interesting part for me is because I was so young with this big experience, like this higher level experience, there are a lot of things that I see when I freelance that I know is incorrect, or I know is unfair, or I know is just wrong. Or bad technique, or I just know because I've seen the highest level of it. So that's an advantage for me. But then it's also like, we all have the grass is always greener syndrome. You look at one side, you're like, that's what I need to be doing. And then, or they look at you like, that's what I need to be doing. But it's not, neither side is green.
Yeah.
It's a different shade depending on where the light is, but it's not greener.
But you've had a lot of success, and you've worked for many different outlets. I want to shout out this BuzzFeed list that you made. Top 5 Black female entertainment journalists under 30 in Hollywood. What's it like being recognized on a list?
That was so cool and so random because, I mean, I'm slowly, getting a team, but there's no like PR on my squad. So to be found and recognized, it was really cool. It came at a really good point for me too. I was still working my old job at Access Hollywood, and I was in a point where I was navigating my exit and just not feeling as confident in that moment in what I wanted to do and how I would be able to do it. So then to see my name on that list, and I was the youngest on the list, and probably I would describe myself as the person on camera who wasn't talent, but performing as talent. So on that list, to be on there as that was really cool. And
What do you mean as talent?
Because people don't, people don't understand unless you work in this heavily. They don't know what it is that you do. People don't know what a producer does.
True.
And then I was working and had the title of producer, but I would appear on camera daily online as like a reporter online, but without the title. And then occasionally I appeared on the show. As I appeared like twice right before I left, which was really cool. But people assume, oh, so then you're the host. It's like, no. Oh, you're correspondent. No. Yeah. Reporter. No. I didn't have any of those titles. And the thing is, those titles bring pay.
Yeah.
When you have a certain title, you're required to have a certain level of pay. And so I guess I was on camera every day for almost 2 years online. But eventually that actually dried up because Instant Access, which was where I was appearing mostly, they transitioned out from having like 8 of us working on camera for a year plus to now there's no talent on there whatsoever, not even voiceover. It's just image, video, and text. So that's when I stopped appearing online so much. And then I was still privileged and very grateful to have appeared on the show a few times, but that was so inconsistent. So to have all of that going on and people from the outside see it one way, but you're not getting paid fairly and all of these things, to have that in that vortex, this list, it was so good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it was a shot in the arm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I needed it.
It really means something, I think, to have your name there. I mean, people search your name. That is reputable. I mean, it's there. So I think that's a great asset to have.
Right. And one thing, one of our AfterBuzz owners, Kevin Undergaro, would say all the time is brand marriage. When you're getting into, when you or something you've done gets press, now there's a brand marriage between your personal brand or your professional brand and the brand that's putting you out there. So now the fact that people can associate me with a BuzzFeed level of credibility or so, like, I appreciate that little hit of brand marriage. So I look for more opportunities like that, but it's just so much nicer when you don't have to look, when your work speaks for itself and things like that just come.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great goal for people to have who are listening to this show too. I mean, if you do it, eventually you get these small little payoffs that kind of keep you motivated and keep the machine going. I feel that anyway.
Yeah. And of course, look for opportunities for yourself, create opportunities, but it just gets it feels different. It feels sweet when you are just doing the work and people take notice.
Yeah, someone's watching. It's a fantastic feeling. Living this freelance life, how do you maintain your hustle? Like, where do you find your motivation? Especially if things are slow or you just got off something. Like, how do you keep going?
Dude, I'm still trying to figure that out.
I know.
I enjoy that no one has any right to dictate what I do. I hate the freelance hustle though. It's just, I've always been an overachiever. So I'm naturally going to hustle. Like, that's just in my blood. But inconsistency is something I'm still trying to get used to, because when it hits good and it's great and it's way better than anything I could have imagined for myself. But when it's slow, it is dead. So I'm still trying to create more things for consistency just in my own life, more structure, because then this will make more sense. But it's very different. I've been working consistently since I was 15 or 16. So to then go and having to hustle even harder because every week looks different for me, that it's scary. It's been very scary. But at the same time, going back to when it hits big, there's been things that I've been able to do now that it boggles my mind I've waited so long. It really boggles my mind. Like, I wonder what would have happened if I had just tried and done this earlier. Would I be farther? I don't know.
And, you'll drive yourself crazy with that.
Right.
I know.
But I'm also very grateful because with the freelance hustle, because I was around people who were at the highest level, just it gives me a great perspective of what that life looks like. But I never knew what this middle ground was like, because I'm not a beginner. I'm not like bottom level, like entry level, whatever. But I'm definitely not like network TV host just yet. close have seen it, but not yet. This middle ground, I didn't know what it was like, but now that I'm like several months into it, I'm like, okay, I have to give myself more credit. I've been most of my survival has come from what I came to LA to do. I can say I'm a working host. It doesn't mean I'm working every week, but I'm consistently working and being booked. It just means I need to be more creative with other ways of sustaining myself. But for that, I'm very grateful.
Do you have moments where you're proud of yourself? I've kind of started to have those, and I don't want to say that with any ego. I just feel like sometimes you have to kind of take the stock in things.
Yeah, I've always tried to. I'm very bad at comparing myself. And luckily, for the most part, I only really compare myself to people who are similar to me, which might be worse. I don't know. But for a long time, I've compared myself in a way where I would kind of feel bad, like I'm not doing enough. But recently, I've kind of taken stock of, okay, who are like my peers and how am I, like, where do I land? Just as like a check, like a mental check, like, okay. And I'm realizing now that I do need to stop and enjoy what I've done more, because it's happening for me and I can't expect things to happen overnight. And also one thing I've learned is people don't care where you've been. So like, yes, I came from Access Hollywood. Wow. That doesn't mean you're guaranteed a job anywhere, because for one, you maybe you look like someone's ex-girlfriend, or maybe I've been interviewed by people that have been intimidated about my experience. Yeah. That's
this business, isn't it? It makes no sense, but that's the realistic side.
Or people who only wanted to talk to me or interview me because they were trying to get scoop information for their own use, maybe so they could wiggle in. It's been so weird, the interactions I've had, where everyone, including myself, just assumed having that as almost 4 years as my background would make things so much easier. Even just being young, I thought that would be and it is an asset. Not to be negative, but it is an asset. It just means I've had to reposition how I figured this to be.
You must learn something all the time new about just this business and where you fit in it. I mean, it must be a constant learning curve.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting too, because digital and TV are very different. And honestly, when I first left, I was looking heavily at like digital because it's new, it's growing, there's so many opportunities, but it's actually still kind of archaic in the type of people they look for talent.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the TV shows and like bigger platforms are looking for people like me. But I was trying to play small because I thought, okay, I have to.
I would have done the same.
Right.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, like, for example, I was pursuing a couple digital outlets who wouldn't give me the time of day. They would say, oh, you're so talented, and just not give me the time of day. And then a very large outlet found me online and was interested. Something I wouldn't have even thought I'm like, I don't have an agent. Like, how would I do this? And they found me. So, and that's going, because they also, they know they need diversity. They know they need millennials and Gen Z. They're keeping stock of what boxes, like I said earlier in the podcast, with Michael Yo, how do we best reflect America in what we put out to the world? And the digital outlets, there's more opportunities in digital, but there's also a lot of people don't have the training that we've had to have.
That's
or the
so true. I run into that all the time. The training, especially anything to do with media training, very rare to find in digital currently, in my view.
And there's no sort of, there's no regulation when it comes to payments too. So there are a lot of people who are on camera every day on these awesome digital outlets doing these amazing interviews and getting paid nothing. And I'm sorry, I've put in 4 years. And I've been pursuing TV since I was 17. I can't do that much free anymore. Like, I can't. No. So it's been very interesting.
I totally feel you. It's inspiring to me. And I know a lot of this about you already, but just to hear it, you put it into these terms and to learn like the difference between digital and TV, I didn't even really realize that. And now I see it.
Yes. If you sit back and think, a lot of, especially with people who are in our realm, on these, like some of these digital outlets, and this isn't all of the digital outlets, I'm just saying a lot that I've encountered recently, they're kind of going, it's almost like they're going for what network is trying to work against. Like I love Nancy O'Dell, but I've been told several times, like, they're trying to move away from like that classic host and more of like someone who just kind of talks, you know? But then online, you'll see people who are still trying to be that, but it's like, but they're getting work, but it's like this it doesn't make sense.
Well, entertainment news is really changing as it is anyway. And I think you've got some of the old guard and the new guard, and I don't know if
constant conflict. I will tell you that old guard, new guard, it's constant conflict. No one really knows what the landscape will look like in the next year.
Speaking of changes like that, Access Hollywood is now Access. When did that happen, and what do you know about that?
So that happened officially December, January.
Okay.
And it's just been part of a rebrand that they've tried to do to encompass still entertainment for sure, but a bit more of features, pop culture, because a lot of people are less interested in A-list actors and actresses than before.
True.
Especially younger generations. A lot of people just don't care as much. And so in attempts to retain an audience, that's why you see more use of reality TV stars, or even social influencers have now infiltrated some of these shows too. I mean, TRL, half of the cast when it was on, influencers. Everyone's trying to do everything to capture the audience, because the heyday of entertainment news was when we were coming up with, Ryan Seacrest and Julian Rancic on E! News, like circa 2008, 2010, that era.
Yeah. It makes sense. I figured it was something to do with that, and just
to
ever
be like
evolving.
Still entertainment, but a little less entertainment.
Yeah. So is there anything you want to promote? Again, the question, where can we find you? But really, what's going on?
So I'm trying to think what is going on. What do I have coming up? So at some point, I'm going to be on an episode of You Kidding Me, which is a new show on Facebook Watch that Kim Kardashian produces. I don't know when or where. I mean, when.
Is that a prank show?
It's a prank show.
Okay.
Yeah, I was helping prank Lala Anthony.
Oh, cool.
So I think that comes out this coming month. At vivaciouslyvivian.com, everything is there. Let's see. Vivaciously Viv on Instagram and Twitter, especially Instagram. I live my life there. I've been doing a lot of live event hosting. So if you're in the LA area, like, definitely check me out in October. I'll be at the LA Women's Expo, the Ultimate LA Women's Expo, hosting there. Also, the Digital Hollywood Conference. I'll be there for the foodie lifestyle, and also the influencer panels. But mostly Instagram. Hit me up on Instagram. Send me your questions. Hit up, a little follow, a little like.
Follow her, really, because I've been following her, and I've been following her journey more than the actual photos, and it's been great to see her success, and I think there's only one way but up, so really, I encourage you all to check her out, to follow her story.
Well, thank you, and shout out to you, because I remember when this was an idea, and to think this is 104.
Yeah.
That's incredible. You need to give yourself some credit, because a lot of people say things and don't do them. That's the mystique of Hollywood. Hollywood is a place full of people who don't do things, and a small percentage that do and do them at a high level. So shout out to you for being a doer.
Thank you. And that's the group that I try to hang around with. People who I know who are going to create something, and it happens. And that's what I've said on this show, and that's hopefully a lot of who I've had on are those doers. So it means a lot, and you're one of them, and thank you for doing the show. I appreciate it. We'll be back with more rants. In the meantime, please leave me a review if you like. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, that's a bonus. And let me know. There's a lot more rants to come. I love you for listening.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the Rants on Patreon at patreon.com/Grant's Rants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by Howie RHONJ. Voiceover by Oh Yeah! Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.